Hey guys, I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Whether you're watching this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening, I'm glad you're here. I want to thank all the channel members. Thank you all for your support. I appreciate you more than you know. And thank you for anyone coming through to check out my Crazy Knife EDC content. I appreciate y'all coming by and taking the time out of your day to watch, or out of your night. And if you're so inclined, if you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification icon, it'll really help me out. So today, I wanted to just run through, in no real order, 10 holo grinds in my collection and kind of talk about what that means without going too long on them. So let's just talk about 10 holo grinds today, starting with the new Breed EDC Clydesdale. This is what I would call a half holo, where you've got this flat swedge on about 50% of the blade up top, and then you've got this holo grind starting about halfway down, done very, very nicely. What it allows is a lot of that material to come out and thinning that blade where you're not working off of a chisel type geometry off of a flat grind. So holo grinds to me have always been real therapeutic cutters in a lot of cases. They strop up very well. They have great sounds, and we'll look at some different ones here, some half holos, some larger holos. But starting with our 10th knife to look at today, that is our new Breed EDC Clydesdale. Then moving on, we'll look at another, what I would consider half holo. This is an OG, the Spyderco Smok, fantastic knife, and it's got anywhere from probably a 3/4 holo down to about a 1/3 holo. And you can see here how you've got the swedge that's flat, but it's kind of in a spear point that works off this kind of reverse tanto blade that is the Spyderco Smok holo. And you've got another extremely slicey knife with, again, a nice holo that comes down to a really thin edge. And you can see that if my phone will focus on it. You can see that right there in that swedge. So the Spyderco Smok has always been a great knife. It is one of my OG knives, and for a cutter, the holo grind works great. So coming in at number 9, we've got the Smok. So let's look at the number 8 in a totally different vein, a slip joint, the QSP Hedgehog. The QSP Hedgehog is uber slicey because it is a full holo. What I mean by that is, you can tell here, and this is going to drive me crazy, so I'm going to have to wipe the smudge off it. But the full holo, this, you got your blade stock up here, and then your holo grind starts right from the top. So when you look at the front of that knife, if it's actually focusing on it, it'll give you a very good indication of how thin this gets down behind the edge. But super slicey. QSP Hedgehog is one of my slicers. It is probably, whether you get the QSP traditional pocket knives exclusive version in M390, or if you get one of their micarta versions for under $60 in micarta in 1428C, the geometry is the same, the knife is great. So we will call this number 8, and it is the QSP Hedgehog. Moving on to number 7. We have got the Grant Gripper, the largest holo grind in this collection, or in this video, because this is a full-size knife. But if you'll notice here, this is similar type of geometry happening. You've got this swedge, this groove, swedge, and then your holo starts right here. So if you look at it from the front, you can see that it gets super pokey, super thin, super slicey. This guy is just one of the pokiest knives. It'll cut through anything, and it'll do it well. It's got a long blade that again is as pokey, splinter diggery as anything that you'll see in this collection in this video, and it's just a great knife. So coming in at, what was that, number 8, did we say? 10, 9, number 7, the Grant Gripper, which brings us to another hollow grind at number 6. The number 6 hollow grind today is the Brian Brown Jagger, Jagger M version, I don't know which version, just the Jagger M we'll call it. This knife has got a wicked hollow grind. I would say it's more like 7/8, or right in there, because you can tell that you've got this nice swedge, then you've got this little flat here that's probably about 1/5 of the blade, and your hollow starts way up there, pretty high. So what that allows is that allows for the blade to get uber thin, which results in just a laser beam. The Jagger is just a beast, guys, and it is what I think probably one of the best examples of what a good hollow grind can do and mean for your cuts. I think it's an absolute banger. Brian Brown Jagger, sweet, sweet hollow grind, and we said that was number 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, which brings us to number 5. Number 5 is a prototype. But number 5 is a prototype with about a 3/4 of the blade hollow grind. This is the Stout V2 from DVO Knives. You can see you got this nice, what I like to call the pelican swedge here on the nose, and then you've got this flat, and then your hollow starts up here about 2/3 of the way of the blade and comes down to, again, an absolute laser beam. This is a proto. It's been through a lot of people's hands, so it's cutting a lot. I've not stropped it, but just the thinness and the geometry of that blade make it just a pleasurable slicer. So coming in at, what do we say, number 5 is the DVO Stout V2 Proto. Cannot wait to get this knife. It's truly a banger. I'm stoked on it, and I used to not be, which brings us to number 4. Now number 4 is another slip joint. And this is a slip joint with a little bit taller blade, even though I think the Feel Good Jack is probably more slicey. This has got a more, what would the word be? A more aggressive hollow grind. This is the low drag jack. And, oh, excuse me, no, it's not. This is the, low drag jack. And this guy is a full hollow. You can see right here where your spine is, and that your hollow comes right off that spine. And it just makes for an absolute paper shredder, fruit slayer, rope, string cutter, you name it. It's just a banger. That was a cutter error there at the end. But for a hollow grind done exceptionally well on a traditional knife, QSP's Hedgehog or any Jack Wolf knife is going to fit the bill for you. Jack Wolf's a little more pricey. I think they're worth it. The QSP Hedgehog is so good you can't not try it. I mean, it's just offers you so many different price points. So coming in at number, what was that? 4? Yeah. We have the Jack Wolf Low Drag Jack, which brings us to number 3. One of our American-made hollow grinds. This is a McNeese Mac 2 3.5 inch manual folder made right here in my home state of Alabama, and it is about a 3/4 hollow grind here in MagnaCut, done exceptionally well. Gets wickedly thin behind the edge. Is a therapeutic cutter by every stretch. Love this knife. Love this knife. So whether you're using it as a skinner, you're using it as a box opener, you're using it as a paper cutter, you're using it to defend the honor of your Slurpee, this is a fantastic knife, and we're going to call that coming in at number 3. We've got the McNeese Mac 2 3.5, which brings us to number 2, which is normally not a hollow grind, but I had to bring one of Brother Satu Dave's pieces of art into this conversation, because these knives, a lot of people know that cold steels start pretty thick. They're pretty thick knives. They're priors. So I sent this. I also sent, which y'all see enough of it, but I also sent my 4-Max out to Dave to get a hollow grind put on them. And what it results in is a knife where, in this particular configuration, he left the tip thick, but he took out more than 3/4 of the blade with that hollow. And now my AD-15 is a therapeutic cutter like nobody's business, where it used to be a bruiser, and it's still got the tip to be a bruiser, but let's be honest, guys, the way I use it is more a slicer, right? So coming in at number 2, cold steel, AD-15, not always a hollow grind, but you sure as heck can make it one. Which brings me to one of the sexiest, coolest hollow grinds in my collection, one of the coolest, sexiest knives in my collection. This is the Evo with a 17-degree edge on it. It is a hollow. It starts right up here, comes down, gives you a, I'm talking laser beam geometry. You don't even feel it. Whoops. You don't even feel it making the cut. The paper just falls apart. Love this knife. Love the way it slices. It's a forever knife, so it's a user. I love it. It is slicey. It is a hollow grind. And guys, I hope y'all found that video somewhat interesting. I mean, we talk about knives. We can talk about flat grinds. I'm not saying one's necessarily better than the other. I can just see the appreciation for both. And hollows, as you guys probably know, are usually typically done on a wheel. The maker is taking that material off as they grind it. That's why you have different grinds on your different hollow grinds, or different types of grinds, different grind patterns when we look at these different knives. But yeah, guys, this has kind of been a little video paying homage to the hollow grind and checking out 10 really cool hollow grinds. I appreciate you guys taking the time to check it out. I appreciate each and every one of you. All I ask is please keep an eye out for the guy to the left or your right. Keep an eye out for the guy or gal to your left. Right, left, right. Look out for each other, guys. Go forward with love in your heart. And always, always, always choose debate, not hate. I love you all. Peace.